And welcome back, everyone. We're here with Tom Fagan. Tom is the chair of iNARTE's Spectrum Management Certification Program. Tom focuses on spectrum management for DoD, NASA, NOAA, and includes system engineering, satellite operations, spectrum allocations, and federal spectrum repurposing. So he's got a wide breadth and depth of knowledge about spectrum management, and we're very happy to have him. Welcome aboard, Tom, and fire away. Look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thank you so much, Joe. I'm glad to be back with the association. I think I gave this presentation. I don't think it was last year. I think it was 2 years ago, if I recall. Not sure what happened last year outside of being locked in the house for almost a year. So, such fun. So let me continue on this. iNARTE is an international group of certification certificate management company, if you would. They certify all sorts of stuff. Most of that's in the spectrum world, electromagnetic compatibility, ESD, other things. I've been involved with them for, 30 some odd years now. Back when it was just NARTE, and it was a U.S. group. So let me get into this and see if, okay, it's moving good. So this is, I think, the latest certification they came out with. It went live back just as COVID hit, so about February of 2020. We didn't quite get everything out in 2019 as much as we wanted to. The group that worked on this is part of the International Electrical and Electronics Engineering Association, IEEE. It's an EMC society, Electromagnetic Compatibility Society, that was asked to work on this. Actually, I went to them, and I went to NARTE from the EMC Society and kind of pushed this a long time ago. The EMC Society has a technical committee number 6 on spectrum engineering. It used to be spectrum manager or spectrum management. I was chair of that back in, I think it was a 2000 time frame. The current chair is Sarah Sequin. Her email is listed there, and she appointed me as a subcommittee chair, and now I'm her vice chair. You know, one good deed falls upon another, so I've been promoted from committee chair to vice chair, something I've held before. All this work we're doing is for Christian Thornton. He's actually the iNARTE person we've been working with. And iNARTE handles all the administration. They do the testing. All we had to do was come up with the program, and I'll go through that. So years and years ago, the Navy actually started this. They wanted some better EMC engineers. And so one of the first groups to actually get certified was the EMC community, of which I've been a part of for years, and was to develop a long or a level playing field of good engineers that all had the same expertise and were certified that they knew what they were talking about. It fell into their labs. At the time, the labs had to be what they called NAVLAP certified, and part of the NAVLAP certification was to have the NARTE EMC engineers and technicians in the labs. From there, it expanded into telecommunications, product safety. I helped write a lot of the questions for electrostatic discharge control. I worked on that for a long time, and wireless device professionals. I think there's a few more. The latest one we're working on right now is actually radar. We're working very heavily with a lot of us that have done radar for years, and we're putting together that program. So maybe another year or two, we'll have a new radar certification program. So this group is international. We have folks certified from all over the world, and it's quite a good program. They've had a lot of success. I don't have the numbers as far as how many are certified, but it's a lot, as the last charts I saw. Let me see if this button works. Go. There we go. So iNARTE was founded in 1982. I remember the work on this. Like I said, the U.S. Navy wanted all the engineers and technicians in the EMC world certified in 1988. So a lot of the first folks were certified, including myself, long time ago. The FCC authorized iNARTE to actually administer commercial operator licenses in 1993. I remember when that came out. And like I said, I worked very heavily with the ESD Association, another group I've given this presentation to on the ESD side, to have certified ESD engineers and technicians. We rolled that program out in 1994, and I hold that certification for all that work as well. What came up about the year, I don't know, 95, 96 was, gee, we really should do something for Spectrum. A lot of us had, at that time, I had worked in the field for a long time. I think I'm running on year 36 now. We started really talking about spectrum management and wondering if we roll that more into EMC or we break that out. A lot of us that do EMC work also do spectrum management, but there's a lot of folks that do just plain spectrum management. So we started looking at breaking it out into a separate group. At the time I wrote this back in, 2019. Yeah, this was a 2019 presentation. The numbers were 16,000 telecommunications and EMC engineers are certified in 26 countries. So I officially kicked off the program in 2010. Like Tom Kidd said, nothing moves fast in the work. I think some of these certification programs, run about the same speed as the work process does. It took us 9 years to write 800 questions and get the answers and get them in the right format and get the references and everything else done. And like I said, we kicked this off just as COVID hit, so it's good we're presenting this once again so people know about this and we can go forth with getting more people certified. So again, certification gives you a baseline. You know that if they're certified, they are very knowledgeable in the subject. It's not overly difficult to take the test. A lot of the questions are probably common knowledge. The rest of the questions make you think a little bit. There's definitely some calculations you have to do. But I can tell you the folks that have taken the test appreciate everything we've done. They said we've done a very good job as far as how difficult, and they feel that this gives us a really good feeling that the people that come out taking the test that are actually certified are competent. We've all seen people that have just glowing resumes, and you hire them and you start working with them, or there was some other organization and they really don't live up to their resumes. This way, if they have the certification and the certification is actually listed, you can go to iNARTE and make sure that they're really certified. which is nice. It gives you a really good feeling that that person has the expertise that they say they do on those resumes. So iNARTE is part of a much bigger global organization. I think is RabQSA, and I think there's another group that they're with. They go to great lengths. They actually have people that are experts in writing questions and making sure you're not ambiguous on the question or the answers. So they're very recognized for doing certifications and making sure that everybody who comes out of it is really has expertise that you would expect. Everybody I know that has taken the certification classes, I could say, yeah, you know, you can definitely tell they know what they're doing and the certification is correct. So this gives you that evidence that the person really knows what they're doing. So we all need spectrum managers. I think we're really lacking. In fact, in the last couple of weeks, I must have got to 45 phone calls. Hey, we need somebody at this place, or we need somebody at that place, and we looked at LinkedIn, and you have all the right qualifications. You know, if we give you $1.50, will you come work for us? And you know, obviously, I haven't taken any of those, but you know, there's definitely a lack of folks that know electromagnetic compatibility, electromagnetic spectrum, spectrum management, and we definitely need to have some expertise out there. We need to have some training programs. There are several really good training programs. NTIA has some, FCC has some, DoD has some. And up on the iNARTE webpage, I think we have a list of all the different training classes up there you could take. There's a couple of commercial ones through universities, and they're always looking for a way to test the folks when they're done with the class. So we've been in discussions with a lot of those folks to use this test as part of that class. I know the DoD has some really good spectrum classes, but you know, this would give you a level playing field, and we've seen several DoD folks take this and pass this, and you know, I've got some feedback on the differences between what the DoD teaches and what NTIA teaches and some of the other groups. Really good feedback, and we're constantly updating a lot of the questions and updating the test. As Tom Kidd said, spectrum is always contested. It's always DoD versus commercial sector versus international sector. It should be interesting on that power spectrum Tom talked about, how that goes. That's definitely an interesting task, and you know, I've heard about that for several years now. It's interesting how it's progressing, and I wish him well if it goes forward. But we definitely need spectrum managers out there, and those spectrum managers, if you're hiring them, if they are certified, you can best be, you know, you'll know that they're certified and they know what they're talking about because they'll have that expertise. We all know spectrum management is very highly specialized. You know, the commercial folks have a different different knowledge, not really different knowledge. It's slightly different in the commercial world versus the DoD world. I've worked on both sides. I've had some folks come out of the commercial wireless spectrum and are totally blown away by some of the stuff DoD's using. I've had some folks from, you know, the DoD side go over to the commercial side, And, basically here the same thing, they're slightly different worlds. If you have the technology, if you understand the technology, you can work in either side. So this program we put together combines all that. It covers DoD, it covers commercial, it covers international. We tried to make it fair that if you take this in, let's say, Ireland versus Germany versus Africa versus US, you should not have any problem passing the test because you're in a different country. We tried to make it pretty ambiguous so that anybody around the world could take this and pass it. We have a lot of ITU questions in there, so that was really interesting to work on. The last bullet I have here is seldom taught in universities. We did a survey not too long ago. How few universities actually teach spectrum management. It normally winds up that you have to go to some group once you get out of school to learn about spectrum. I think 3/4 of my day is actually talking to program managers about what spectrum is, how you go about it. I think that's pretty much what I do most of the day, unfortunately. We do wish that more colleges and universities would start adding a class on spectrum. I know back when I went to school 6,000 years ago, they just started talking about packaging. I mean, that was a brand new thing a long time ago. And part of that, they talked about a little bit about shielding, and you could tell the professor just didn't understand shielding or grounding or anything else like that back then. It's getting a little bit better. I work with several universities and try and bring up things like ESD and spectrum and EMC and try and help them out. And it's always pleasing when those university students get into industry and they call you up and say, hey, that really helped me. And I'll mention some of these certification tests that they could take, and they want to learn more, which is really, really good. So, like I said, it took us 9 years to go through everything. These are the basic categories. We have basic theory. We go through field theory, EMC theory, spectrum analysis, communication theory, transmission lines. You'd be amazed at the number of people I talk to on a daily basis that think a very, very, very short antenna can have gobs of gain. And I just kind of shake my head on that and have to feed them down the right path there. We get into spectrum management and engineering. There's a lot of folks out there that want to call it spectrum management. Some want to call it spectrum engineering. So we try to cover both of those. We go through spectrum allocation, licensing, frequency assignments, policy, all the rules and regulations. Again, this was difficult on the rules and regulations because each country has their own rules and regulations. Radio technology was another group we focused on: amplifiers, noise figures, radars. We got real heavily into cellular because there's a lot of folks that wanted really good questions on cellular industry. I guess I should update this now that we're starting to look past 5G and see where we go from here. And satellite communications. There was a large group that wanted more and more on satellite communications. So we worked on that and got those questions in. There we go. Nice part about having worked on the EMC and ESD certification classes, we had a lot of questions on cable shielding, enclosure shieldings, filters, grounding, bonding, We had questions on RF safety. We moved those over because it's always good that you don't put a transmitter too close to people. You don't want to zap folks. We went through link budgets. That was a big one. We had to really work on. Didn't want to make that too complicated, but we wanted to make sure people understood that, you know, there is loss here and there, and where there isn't loss, there's always loss, isn't there? We also went through radio propagation and how you handle interference resolution. We got a lot of really good questions on how to handle interference resolution. Normally those questions and answers could take up a paragraph or more. That was difficult to wind that down to something simple we could ask a normal question on and go through. We have testing, measurements, and validation. How do you test outside? How do you test inside sometimes? What do you put in your test plans, procedures, and reports? You know, you want a good report going off to the customer. You don't want, you know, something willy-nilly. So we had a whole lot of program managers give us some program management info. We have generic what you should put in design reviews, several ethics questions. Ethics is a big deal. I think we all go through those ethics classes once a year, and this was just the same. Leadership and soft skills, trying to take care of all that stuff and get the word out there. So we tried to cover absolutely everything. I saw Harvey on the phone call. We did have radio astronomy in there. I don't know why I don't see it on the screen right now, but we did have some questions. I think Harvey gave them to me even. Been a while, so thank you all for giving your questions and entering them into the pool. There we go. So we do have 800 questions to pull from. We always get more questions. About every time somebody takes a test, I'm getting an email, or iNARTE's getting an email that said, you know, hey, it's great, you should ask a question on this, and we add it to the pool. So you have to get 70% passing score. You have to have 3 references, 2 peers, 1 supervisor. Oh, I guess I should say for the engineers out there, there's an engineering test. If you're a technician, there's a technician class. We had to separate those out. Not all technicians need to know the stuff engineers do, and some of the technicians, there were other questions we put onto the technicians, and they ask you what your level of expertise is. For technicians, iNARTE set the minimum work experience at 6 years of related work experience and 9 years for engineers. And so far it's gone rather well. Here's one of the questions. This is kind of what it looks like. This is not on the test, so don't write this down. I'm sure everybody can pass this one. So what's iNARTE? And then we have the 4 questions. You know, division of the FCC, a division of the NTIA, part of Exemplar Global, also known as RABQSA. Remember how I said iNARTE has 2 bigger groups. And then the phone always rings when you're in the middle of a discussion. And then part of the IEEE EMC Society. Of course, the correct answer is C is in Charlie. The reference is there. You could go look at where we got this question from. Of course, this is all made up. And the different category. That's how we know what questions are in what group. And we're always trying to beef up the areas where we're kind of lacking in certain groups. And the takeaway on this is if you have any questions, if you put them into this format with, you know, a reference and a category, please send it to me. I'll add it to the pool of questions. We've got 10 people underneath me. I'm the team leader, but we'll pass it among the committee, make sure everybody agrees to it. Once the committee agrees to it, it goes over to iNARTE. They send it through their, I forget what the name is, but there's actually a name for somebody who writes proper questions and answers. That person will go through and make sure there's no ambiguity to the questions or answers, and everything's filled out right, and that will go up into the question and answer pool. So if you do have any, we are accepting more questions and answers and looking forward to it. So thank you. So there's the exam is one part. It's 4 hours in durations. They're all multiple choice. I thought about having a paragraph of essays, but nobody liked that idea. Essay questions are always tough to answer, to grade. There's 50 questions. All should be attempted. The nice part is it's open book, open notes, and scientific calculator is allowed. Like I said before, the passing mark is 70% average. You can retake it after 90 days. What I should say is that because of COVID, they found a way to do this from your home. This was not something I actually got out during or was able to advertise during COVID. I only found out about this just a couple of days ago. Is that you can actually take this from your home. Somehow they use the camera and everything, to make sure you are who you say you are and you don't have somebody whispering in your ear. But it's open book, open notes, and you can use a calculator, and obviously you can use a computer because you'd be taking it on a computer. There are test sites all over the world. I think my daughter just took a test at some testing site for, she's a chemist, but she had to take a teaching certificate test, and she was in one of these exam rooms, and it'd be interesting to find out if this is one of the exam rooms where you could take that iNARTE exam. I don't have that list in front of me, but that's always something really good to know. Let's see. I think that's about all I wanted to say there. So the person, I just did this for the fun of it. It's, something we needed to do a long time ago. The person who actually gets paid to do all this is Christian Thornton. He's with iNARTE. His phone number is actually on the screen. Well, iNARTE's phone number is there. His number is there. And then the iNARTE phone number and his email is on the screen. You can send anything to him, or you can send it to me. I'm TJ Fagan at IEEE.org. You can get it to either one of us. And I'm sure these charts are going to be up online, so you can write this down or take a screenshot of it. Either Christian or myself will get the questions. We confer back and forth. I get it to the committee members, and it goes into the question pool when we're done massaging it. So we've had really good writers of questions. We found some really interesting sources that we got permission to use some of their questions on. And if you're one of those that sent questions, I want to thank you for doing that. And I look forward to questions from you all at this point. Joe?
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. So there's a couple questions over here. One is, other than personal payment, are any forms of company offered continuing education payments accepted?
I really don't know if I can answer that. I see Joe's question there. Hi, Joe. I would send an email to Christian Thornton. I don't get involved in any of the money, but talk to Christian and ask him. There might be a way to do that. I'm purely technical and trying to get the word out on this. So they take care of all the money.
Okay. Yeah, if Christian or anyone else gets an answer, that we'll post it. The
I'll
other
ask the question though.
Okay, fantastic. Then we can post it and get
Yeah.
it to folks who are curious.
I know a lot of people have taken this test. It wasn't fair when I took the test because I knew all the questions and answers. So I did really well on the test. But those friends of mine that have taken the test gave me very positive feedback that it's a very fair test. They wouldn't have me change anything. I think so far, all my friends that have taken it, all the associates that have written me, have all passed the test. I haven't had any complaints about the test, and I implore everybody on the call, go take the test, see how well you do, and give me feedback. I always like the feedback, good or bad.
Great. A few top line questions to sort of crunch it down and crisp it up a little. One is, how much time do you think it takes an average person to study for it? I know you said it's a 4-hour test, one part. How long, what's the average study time to prepare yourself? How much time do you need typically?
The people that have taken the test, probably like me, 20, 30 years of knowledge, walked in, no studying whatsoever, took the test and passed it.
Okay.
Um,
And how about that
they,
college student? How about a college student?
I haven't had any college students take it yet. They definitely wanted the references. They wanted to know more about Spectrum, but I just don't have that feedback yet. Most everybody I know had a good 20 to 30 years worth of knowledge that walked in without studying and took the test and passed it. That's why I thought almost everybody on this phone call should be able to go over and take this test and pass it. If it's the more people that take it will allow me to know how I have to tweak it. Make it tougher, make it easier. So far, it's just the right level of difficulty, they say.
Okay. The prep documents, the book, what does it cost? How long does it take to get a hold of the book, and what's the cost again for that?
Well, actually, everything is online up at iNARTE.org. I don't think they printed a book. Again, we started all this under COVID, and I haven't heard of anything being printed. I think everything is electronic right now, available
And
on
the
web.
economics?
What's that?
What are the economics? What does somebody have to pay to play?
Boy, good question. Boy, you're just hitting me with the good ones. I want to say it was like $110 to take it.
Okay.
Again, I don't get involved in the money side, so
All right. No, we're
I
just
have to pay. I think it's roughly $110. Somebody, one of the persons that took it said it was the best $100 I spent. Their organization they work with. Okay, somebody just said $90 online examination fee. Thank you, Jeff. And some of the test centers are collecting $65 at a test center.
okay.
So if you take it online, it's $90. Thank you so much for looking, Jeff. I know my daughter just had to pay, I forget what the amount was to take it at a testing center above what the test actually cost. But from what Christian told me the other day, you could take it at your desk, because a lot of people didn't go to a test center during COVID. I fully understand that. Had I known you could do it over your computer, I think we could have gotten a whole lot more people taking that test over the last year. And thank you, Jeff, for putting up the link up there on the different tests up there. So
Very nice. Yeah, you got the right audience in terms of that, and we can radiate out to a lot of the folks who in our various areas of influence. I know you'd mentioned earlier, I'm still kind of curious about, you'd mentioned you were trying to get some universities to offer the course. So in the event you have a colleague who has done that and knows about that, is it a semester long course? Is it 2 semesters? How many of the students take the test and pass? All that kind of data would be really fun to know if you get a hold of that.
So there is a university. I was searching for. It's always tough to do a presentation and search. There is a university or college that's giving this class. I don't know if you remember Fred Matos, who was part of NMSA, NSMA. I'll get it right. Fred Matos was, with the NTIA. He's now giving a spectrum management class. He used to teach the NTIA spectrum management class, and now he's doing one at the university. So if you search for Fred Matos, you should find it. I'm just dropping the name. Unfortunately, I can't think of what it was.
It might have been Anne Arundel Community College. I know somebody was doing it.
That's it. That's the one. Thank you so much.
Good. Okay.
So they're doing it. FCC has a class. DOD, if you're go up on the DISA website, the DOD has a spectrum management class. I'm trying to push for one. I'm out here in near Tucson, Arizona. I'm trying to push for one over at the University of Arizona. They thought they might have me in as a one of those specialized day-long teachers to give a day-long class on spectrum management. We're still working on that. Hopefully life goes back to normal in September and I can actually pull that one off. I think MITRE might actually have a class, and I do know several of the commercial telecoms actually have spectrum management classes. So I don't have much of insight into that, but I have actually taken quite a few of the other ones and got some real good ideas from that. So
great. All right. Well, we're being spectrum managers. We're very practical, so that practical information is very helpful to us. Or at least we like to think we're practical. So that's our bubble. We all live in our own bubbles. All right. Well, great. That's very helpful. I don't know if there's any other questions. We do have in the comments some additional info from Jeff Forza. He posted the FCC link, the FCC licensing exam link, and Joseph Miller has noted that current and past service members can apply for iNARTE certification for free with proof of service. And just email admin@inarte.org for details. That's good. And thank you for that, Joseph Miller. And he said that there's some variation, I guess, in fees based on the selected program. But it seems relatively affordable regardless. So thank you for that. That's we like to churn out more spectrum managers. The world will be a better place so people understand how to connect from point A to point B. For a lot of reasons. Okay. If there's any other questions from anyone, seeing none, we really thank you for your very practical and informative presentation, Tom. Quite useful to our, again, this is something at the heart of our industry, and we want to encourage this type of information coming out routinely. And so we greatly appreciate it and look forward to continuing that dialogue with you and continuing to encourage people to become certified spectrum managers. So it's a vital service, especially in this world as spectrum becomes more and more applicable to everyday life. So thank you so much. All right, and just to preview for tomorrow, the brand new agenda, our revised, updated agenda, will have at 8:30 a.m. Brian Tremont, partner Wilkinson Barker Nauer, and Daniel Thuman, legal advisor to FC Commissioner Brendan Carr. And then at 9:15 a.m. we'll have George Kaiser, board member and past president, on the 6 gigahertz developments. There'll be a short break, and then at 10:15 a.m. we'll have Andrew Clegg, Spectrum Engineering Lead for Google and board member of NSMA and past president. And then at 11 a.m., we'll have the Human RF Exposure Panel with George Kaiser, who has a detailed presentation on how to comply, especially at 6 gigahertz. Justin JD Davolt, he's a field engineer with Anritsu. He'll walk through how to actually do the measurements with spectrum analyzers. I'll also make a presentation about the May 14th, last Friday's FCC small entity compliance guide that Ira Keltz talked briefly about. Then we'll have a lunch break, and then at 1 p.m. we'll have radio astronomy spectrum protection with Harvey List, the Harvey List, radio astronomer, a National Radio Astronomy Observatory, and I know he's has a keen interest in all the bands because he's trying to keep radio astronomy pristine as possible, which we all appreciate. And after that will be 5G and Green Earth Initiatives recap. I'll be doing that along with, and we'll also have environmental engineer Mariana Verlage Archibald participating. At 2:30 p.m., electromagnetic effects on spectrum management with Mark Johnson. He's in charge of EMFX and spectrum policy and programs at the U.S. Navy. Then the conference will formally conclude, and NSMA board members will meet on Zoom for a short board meeting. There's a regular NSMA board meeting later in the month. And with that, I thank you all. Encouraged to see your faces. Encouraged to see you out here doing the good work, and quite a lot done today. So I like a good work day. Thanks for knocking that out, and I'll turn it over to Mariana for any additional comments.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Tom, so much for that presentation. Thank you to all of our speakers. Just so everyone knows, the platform will stay open this evening, really. So if you had any conversations that you were starting at any of the tables with people that you'd like to finish, feel free to head back over. That will be available to everyone. Thank you so much for your patience and your flexibility as we ironed out some technical difficulties this morning. And I will leave my email in the chat right now. So if anyone has any questions about the platform or anything related, you can feel free to shoot me an email and I will get back to you. But thank you so much for sticking with us to the end. Thank you. Thank you.